Jeff at Big Hairy Dog, and this is a webinar on mobile point of sale. We're going to be looking at Foundry Logic and Prism and where they are right now and what you can do with them and how they work. All right, so, well, first off, let's just go look at some stuff, right? I mean, we can look at the little slides here in a minute, right? So this is an iPod, obviously, that I'm holding in my hand. And you can see down here at the bottom, we've got Foundry Logic. I've got both apps loaded here. Mobile point of sale is what we're kind of talking about, but I do have the inventory app loaded as well. So I just clicked on the mobile point of sale application, and I now need to log in, and I really should think about getting an iPad for this because it's so small, and I'm not a small person. I think I got that right. Let's see. All right, popped right in, and well, let's just do something real quick. Here's Retail Pro running in the background, and let's go to receipts and see what's going on in receipts. Okay, so my date range is set to today, and you can see that I have not made any receipts today in Retail Pro. So I just want to kind of establish that up front here, and let's go through and make a sale in Foundry Logic here. So obviously I logged in. It's now looking at transactions that have been made in the past. I'm going to click in the upper right-hand corner here. I'm going to click the New button. And I have to take my hand off the mouse and actually click the button. It takes me to a new transaction, at which point normally we would have a sled. We'll look at that. I've got some nice pictures of that in our little slide presentation thing there. But normally it's the iPod itself slides into a sled, and the sled has extended battery life and a scanner and credit card swiper and other stuff, you know what I mean? So we're going to just go grab an item. So I'm going to click this little box. Now, I could click the little barcode. That would just take me to a, you know, then I could look around the office, I guess, right? Cancel. I could scan a barcode with that. I could take a picture of a barcode, so to speak, and it would scan it that way. But when you have a sled and you have a real full-blown scanner, it's a lot faster. I'm going to click the little box here at the bottom here that lets me go into inventory, and here in inventory, I'm just going to type in something. I know I have a picture on this one here, so I just want to grab that one there. And since I grabbed it, I'm going to click the image, and you can see that it loads an image of the item, and I can come back. And if I wanted, in the upper right-hand corner, I could click the select button, and it puts it on there for me. I could keep going like that, adding additional product. When I'm ready to check out, then I would click the checkout in the top there. And then I would need to decide at the bottom whether it's cash or credit card. And so I can go ahead and click the credit card, and it's asking me now. Normally here we would have a secondary device. We'll look at there's different options for a secondary device. Foundry Logic uses the Genius Mini, which is a very nice little device. I like that one a lot. Prism is not quite there yet. They're using the Genius handheld, but I guess they're in the process of getting the Genius Mini certified. You have to get it PCI certified, so it's a complicated and expensive process. So for us, of course, today, I'm just going to fake it. I'm just going to put something in here, right? Just so we can get through the transaction and see what's going on. And then we would click finish, and you know, we would print or email this thing. So I could print this to a receipt. I could print this to a I could send it directly in an email. Different configurations for either one. So we just made on October 18th at 2:05 p.m. here. We made a transaction, and we can now see that transaction. And I guess we had Renee join us. Hi, Renee. I'm just checking on our attendees here. Well, I got to keep up on that too, right? So let's take a look back in Retail Pro. Now we all looked in Retail Pro a minute ago, and let's refresh the screen. Let's go back in. Let's see if it's that fast or not. And there it is. There's the transaction we just made. So pretty quick communication back to Retail Pro. It's a trickle type polling that pulls back within about a second. So it's not real time, but it's really close to real time. Now that's just a basic transaction, right? That's all that is. That's all we've done so far. Let's take a look and see where we're going here. All right, so Foundry Logic and Prism as platforms. Foundry Logic is mobile point of sale and line buster, and it's also got the inventory scanner function. So if we go back to our here, and I minimize that down at the bottom, down here at the bottom, you can see both the blue and the pink Foundry Logic. The pink one, this is not a webinar about inventory scanner, but this has the inventory scanner app, which you can also get from Foundry Logic. So the same device could be both mobile point of sale and could be used for your like physical inventory or receiving or transferring or any of those other functions, right? So and of course, that's compatible with 8 or 9, and the licensing really doesn't change if you're on version 8 or version 9. You could upgrade and keep your Prism, keep your Foundry Logic running. Now, Prism is a mobile point of sale, can be mobile point of sale, and essentially, it's with Prism, it's a little different. I suppose we should take a look here. So if we go look at Prism. Let's just go look at Prism. So there's Prism on the main menu of Prism, dialed in on the iPod, right? And let's go over here. Now here's Prism dialed in. Now what I want you to notice is there's something subtle going on here that you probably haven't noticed yet. Down in the bottom here, I have 2 different versions of Prism running, don't I? So I have 2 different ports. I've set up here. 8080 is this one here, and 8081 is the iPod. Now I've dialed into 8081 on this second screen, and you can see that menu ends up looking the same. So basically, the layout is tied to the port that you browse to the Prism server on, basically. So I'm just using 8081 to browse in from the iPod, so I get a vertical menu, the portrait layout that's designed for small devices. It really doesn't work. Obviously, it doesn't work when you're browsing in on a regular menu. It looks a little silly, and that's why they have the other layout, obviously. So with Prism, I guess the point I'm making is that when you browse into that, you're actually browsing in to it as a full-fledged workstation. I mean, you're mobile point of sale, but it's not like you're getting a little feature. You're a full-fledged workstation, like a regular computer sitting next to you, and pretty much all the functionality you can do on another workstation you could do in Prism on a mobile device. So as a little quick compare and contrast there. Now, of course, Prism is 9 only. Prism is pretty functioned. We're on version 1.12 or 1.12, and 1.12 is pretty nice. I've been playing with it, and they did some nice things, some really slick stuff. They added some nice discounting functions in point of sale. It's feeling a lot better, feeling more like a regular version. But you can do a lot. You can create POs, and you can add new items, but you can't add pictures to the items, and you can build items, but you can't build a style. The training wheels aren't quite off yet, if you see where I'm going with that. So at some point, it will be able to run, a full point of sale software in Prism without Retail Pro, that day is not today. So right now, Prism is still tethered to version 9, if that makes sense for everybody. All right, so Foundry Logic, we just made a quick sale. So obviously we could scan items and take a credit card without a problem. The receipt loaded to Retail Pro real time, well, not quite real time, but pretty damn close to real time. We did not do a sale with a customer. We could do a sale with a customer. That's an easy thing to do. So we hop back over here to here, and we say we want to make a new transaction. We come down to the bottom where we got the little image of the customer with the exclamation point. Is that an angry customer? I don't know. Long as it's not an angry elf, right? So we have some customers in here. I could search at the top for a customer, or I could just pick one in here. I have no idea. We'll just grab one and select. That easy to add a customer. A lot of other functions in here. I'm going to click the little button on the left. You see we've got receipt type, taxable, price level, associate. We can also add the customer here, shipping fees, comments, POS flags, and we can add a fee type or a fee amount. So I'm going to go back here. So Foundry Logic has gotten in there all the basic things that we might need in a transaction. So back over here to our little list of things, and certainly we could scan items, yes, show the read, so that's great. You can park a sale. I'm not going to go through that, but you can park it and retrieve it. You can configure it to do line busting. So you can configure it in the Retail Mobile Suite to send over incomplete transactions as a sales order or as a held receipt. So if you're doing line busting and you want to just speed the process up, you could scan the thing down and send it over basically as a held receipt, and then they could just open their held receipt, take the payment, and push them out the door pretty fast. It's kind of one of the options that were designed to handle. Right, item search, grid, price lookup, images. We looked at the image. We did a search for an item. That's pretty easy. I mean, you just click into the little tray at the bottom. So we just go back to our little screen here. You just click into that little tray at the bottom, and then you've got the search window at the top. Now, I preloaded an item that I knew was going to work, right? So I clicked into the little search box, and I typed my BB, and I found my BBGK item, right? Boom, just that fast. By the way, that's real, and that is one of our clients, and she did recommend that as being a very popular. Not that I have ever used it. My daughters might like it a lot, but can't say that I've ever tried it. All right, so I think we're good. We know searching for customers is the same, and we looked at the ability to add fees and comments and stuff like that. So, all right, so let's talk about the sled there. There's a picture of the Linea Pro 5 with the MSR on the side, and that's the Captuvo or Captuvo, I don't know. Down there at the bottom left, you see they're almost identical. So look at the sleds, really similar, but they both sport a scanner and a swiper, right? So you can take credit cards now. With the chip, we're quickly moving away from the swiping. Now they get P2P on I'm not sure they're P2P, full P2P yet on that. I think that's still kind of on the edge. I was just talking with the developer of Foundry Logic, and I guess they're in that certification process. But this is a basic layout of the technical configuration of how it sort of works. You have to have this little piece of software running right here, the Retail Mobile Suite. So this is the Retail Mobile Manager. That's the piece of software that the device is actually talking to, right? So when we're in here in Foundry Logic, we're talking back to this device over here, this manager. And this manager here is where if I wanted to import data, so that would import data out of Retail Pro and bring it into Foundry Logic so that we could sell it in our mobile app. So, and you can schedule that. You don't have to do it manually. You can schedule it to happen every morning or whatever you want to do. And this is where you configure licensing and connect to the device and all that stuff. But that's roughly what goes on, right? So they use ECM. That's how they import the sales. So basically, they're like a remote store. They drop it in, and then they run a manual a command line process in. They basically tell ECM to process in the data they just dropped off. They just drop off an XML file. They run the command to process it in. ECM brings it in and posts it into the menu, all within about a second. So now, anybody have any questions so far? I get rolling and I get kind of crazy, and I haven't checked the chat here. I'm just checking to see if anybody's posted anything, and or if you have questions. I've unmuted pretty much everybody, so if you have any questions, you can ask it. Don't be shy. If not, that's okay too. I get it. All right. So in Prism, let's talk about Prism and let's go try some Prism stuff here, right? All right. So in Prism now, I'm just using Safari to get in there. There's a Prism app too, but in that I just upgraded my Prism and I have not upgraded my app, and the app is a little challenging sometimes. I'm just going directly into Prism using Safari. I mean, Prism is operating system and browser agnostic, right? It doesn't care if it's in a Mac or if it's in a PC. It doesn't care if it's you know, in Safari or if it's in Windows Internet Explorer or Edge or Chrome or Firefox. That's the basic point of sale screen. If I pop back over here, that's the wrong one. If I pop back over to here, we go to new transaction here. The register has not been opened. Would you like to open it? Yes, we would. Great. That's such good news. All right, so that's the basic Prism point of sale screen, right? And then there is there's the mobile one. Obviously, we don't have as much space as we do in the big one, so they dropped the totaling section for a little line at the bottom. But yeah, very similar. I mean, you know, basically the same. And can I look an item up in here? Yes, I can. Let's see what I got here. Oh, I guess I actually have to touch the iPod, don't I? Cancel. I'm pretty sure. Okay, we missed a 0 there. And again, the sled would make this so much easier, right? All right, so this item happens to have hit 2 different items, right? So I then have to select one of these. Right, so I just rang up an item. And we go to tender, and of course it's on cash, but I could change the tender if I wanted to. I could go to the tender type button there, or I could click in here and we could type in what we want. So let's say we took, you know, 250. Right, and then they change to 1240, so give that back. And then we would go to, great, good, nice, thanks for the update. Let's see if we get a preview or not. Yep, there we go, look at that. Got a little receipt. print that we print right out. There's your basic sale in Prism. Right, so at the top we have our search for the items. Then we have the customer down here, sort of towards the bottom a little bit. This iPod might just be a little too small for my fingers to get into that field. I guess I should have tested that. Yeah, the iPod is a little small for this. It might be better on like an iPad Mini would be pretty sweet. And they have the different sleds for all the sizes. We had some full-sized iPad sleds in, but that's a little bit like holding a clipboard. It was a little bit too big, you know, to use. The iPad Mini is kind of right in the middle, and that's a good size to hold and use and scan, and yet not so big that it's in your way, if you know what I'm saying. All right, so let's go back and take a look here at what we got going on. So, yeah, you can do pretty much anything you can do. You should be able to search for a customer if I could get my finger into that little search box, which I still can't do on the, oh, no, I just did. See, get smart and say something dumb, and then, of course, you get caught, right? Actually click in there. Right, so we found a few different customers. We highlight one, select, and we had a customer down there at the bottom. So search for customers, change customer data, add new customers. You can add new customers, actually. I mean, it's a full functioning workstation. So you should be able to see images, see quantities on hand. You can go look at inventory. Now, with the credit card, right, so right now, I don't believe we're using this credit card device yet. This is the credit card device that they're getting certified right now on. So that device you see at the bottom right corner there that says Cayenne in gray, that's one of the Genius Minis. The other Genius Mini is actually the one I prefer better. I wonder if I can find a picture of that. I just didn't realize I didn't have one. Let's see if we can find one real fast. The Genius Mini standalone device it basically looks like kind of like Square. I mean, it's really not. That's it, Cayenne Genius Mini. That's actually not a bad picture at all, right there. That's actually not it, though. So this is the handheld Genius device. This is the device they are using today with it. So, and I have another picture of that, but that might be a better picture. Right. So this is the device here that plugs in. That's a ticket right there. That's the Genius Mini right there. That little square device there on the left is the one that's sweet. And we had a little convention. Some of you may have been there. I know, Matt, you were, but Scott, not Scott, Didge from Foundry Logic was there, and he had this thing mounted on a lanyard and hanging around his neck, which he kind of pointed out is really good for visibility because everybody can see it's hanging around your neck. You're not pulling it out of your pocket. You're not palming some kind of card reader. It hasn't been modified, right? So it's hanging there on a little lanyard. You just disconnect it, hand it to the customer. They put their card in. You read the card on your device, and then boom, that you hook it back to your lanyard and keep it hanging there. And I thought that was really actually pretty brilliant. I was pretty impressed with them for for having that. I don't know if it was him that came up with it or someone else, but it was actually really, really nice. But that's the device right there that the Foundry Logic is using today, or the other device is that device there that plugs into the iPod itself directly. Or you could also run back. You could just park it and run it through the register, right? Basically, is what I guess I'm getting at. Now, this device here on the right-hand side that looks like a little calculator, the Genius device, which I thought I grabbed a pretty good picture of, but now that I'm looking at that one, I'm thinking that's not as good of a picture as I thought. Although it's not bad, I guess. It's a little dark, but that device there is what right now Prism uses that device. So that's a separate device you have. And again, if you could put that around a lanyard and have it hanging on your neck with a quick, like a little quick disconnect, that would be the way to handle it too. Again, so that it doesn't look like you're trying to hide anything. But yeah, Prism would talk directly to that unit right there, and you would just put the card in the end. You would be able to process. They'd be able to make decisions. It would prompt them like the PIN pad. They'd decide if it's credit card or cash, or not cash, obviously debit or credit card, and key their PIN in or approve the credit card. Now, Prism, real quick, just to make sure we all understand what's going on, is, and I got to blow this up because I'm sure you guys cannot see that. So Prism is the next kind of version of Retail Pro. So anybody who's not familiar with it, version 9 Retail Pro has to be in the mix right now. I said earlier it's still tethered to version 9, so its database connects to version 9 at some point. But here's different configurations on how you could set it up, right? So on the left, you see that the workstations and the iPad there, they talk directly to the server, which may be in a different location, physically in a different state. I can actually connect to any Prism if you've got the IP address and it's set up technically correct, right? Like if it's an IP address on a network that you're not part of, you're going to have port forwarding and set up. There's a few technical hurdles to get over, right? But yeah, you could connect directly. Now the problem with that is these guys on the left, they're operating without a net, right? If the internet goes down, their point of sale goes down, right? So the next middle slide there, the middle configuration, shows Prism talking to a local server. Now that, in that case, is just a regular PC of some kind with a MySQL database. That's what that little picture is right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's get it a little bigger. Yeah, so you see the MySQL sort of database drum thing there. So Retail Pro is not running on that middle slide there. Retail Pro is not running on the doesn't have to be on the local computer. MySQL could be talking directly up to the cloud Retail Pro installation. You see what I'm saying? And now over here, what they've done is they've added MySQL to the lower level. So the workstations have a MySQL on them as well. So in this case here, these two workstations trickle pull into the server here, which could be here or it could be a corporate if you could do that either way. Now this is an iPad, so an iPad wouldn't have the ability to run MySQL. Of course, a Surface Pro would, right, or a little Dell pad of some kind. There's a lot of different options out there for that. Could do that, and that's probably a little beyond the scope of what we're talking about today. But when you're talking about Prism, you have to kind of make sure people understand what's going on with Prism, because you could use Prism anywhere, and you could use Foundry Logic anywhere. What you need to have a solid internet connection back to your data, right? That's what you need. And you need to have your credit card solution in hand, right? So either you have the Genius Mini or the Genius Handheld, depending on what platform you're on, or you have a different credit card solution, a cellular is on machine, and you're not processing cards through either software, right? That's your choices out there. if you're going to go to like a remote show and do a sale someplace, you could set up a wireless network, you know, and you could connect it that way. Or if you have a wireless network, if it's a building that has good wireless support already. All right, so this is just a little slide I threw in to make sure, because there's a lot of stuff out there, and so, you know, what's what and what's not, basically. So on the right hand side, you see these are all Retail Pro devices, right? The Janum XP30 and the Percon PT, and the Percon PT is an ancient inventory device, but it's still running today, man. And that thing has been going for at least 25 years. Still works. On the left side, you see some devices that are, well, only the one. The Dolphin 6100 is a device that can run Foundry Logic, but it runs it really for physical inventory only. I guess you could run the point of sale part. It's a Windows environment. I don't think so. No, there's a different app for that. So, so these are all just basically inventory scanners, right? That's what they are. But they can run the Foundry Logic inventory part, but they don't do point of sale. So if you have any of these devices, they are not really eligible for mobile point of sale is what I'm trying to get at. You need to have you need to have the whole sled environment. You need to have an iPod or an iPad with a sled, ideally, to do mobile point of sale. All right, so I think that's pretty much all I really have to go over. Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions? We have a chat box. You can throw a question in the chat box. Again, I can unmute anybody if you're muted. I've already unmuted everybody I can, I think. All right, well, I thank you very much for your time, everyone. I know you guys are all busy out there and you got things to do, so I will not keep tying you up. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come join us, and you guys have a good one. Talk to you guys later. Bye.